All right, so you're signed up for an expert session at Waco Surf. Stick around and we'll show you how to get the most out of it.
If you haven't already, please click like and subscribe below to support the channel.
Let's talk about how Waco Surf works. You have up to 9 people in a surf session. 9. You have 3 wave sets, so it's typically groups of 3. You typically stay with your group of 3 for that entire session, and you rotate. One group is taking off at the peak. One group is poaching, and we'll describe what poaching is later. And then a third group is in the shallows, as they call it.
They're on deck.
Waiting, yeah, like you're on deck, and you're waiting to get to peak. So that's the setup. It's really simple and straightforward, and you just rotate. And even if you miss a wave, it's like too bad. But then you would typically go and get in line in the poaching section after. All right, let's talk about, there's 3 different waves in each set. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. Everyone kind of has, I would say, like favorites. Rapid fire question, what's your favorite wave? Wave 1, 2, or 3, gentlemen?
Wave 1 for my backside. Front side would be, I think, wave 2.
Mm-hmm. Dana?
Wave 2 on the rights and wave 3 on the lefts.
Oh, because of that like big section on the inside on wave 3?
Yeah, 2 has it pretty good too.
Yeah. I enjoyed 2 on front hand. Actually, I think I liked 1 on the backhand because I feel like it was more lined up. And I don't know. Even though I guess it dies sooner, but I kind of liked wave 1 on my backhand more. Dan, give us the breakdown. What are the different waves? What is wave 1 like?
Wave 1 is going to be if you are smaller in stature, you can actually get a barrel off the takeoff on wave 1. But you'll only get that if it's glassy or the wind is offshore for the rights. If it's onshore, it's not going to be open enough because it's pretty tight and it's a little bit almondy. It's not like a full tube, but that's on the takeoff, and it's got a really nice pocket, so it's really good for up and down turns. And so that's a really fun wave. So you can pretty much from the get-go start going top to bottom with turns.
I think 1 has a longer wall right off the takeoff. I feel like it doesn't have as good of a tube section on it towards the end.
And then they told us wave 1 is the air wave. So you just take off a little bit deeper. Dan, I saw you do that quite a few times. You almost take off behind the section or the initial like bubble of the wave. And then it gives you a little bit more of a line to pump through. And then you hit that first section. If you don't, though, and you take off on the shoulder, like the normal takeoff spot, then you don't have a lot of like room to work with. Mm-hmm. So that took me a little while to figure out.
Wave 2 and wave 3 are pretty similar on the rights, I'd say. They're both not as vertical on the takeoff, so it's a little bit more wrapping. But then the wave at the midpoint starts to bubble up, and so you can do some turns there. And then like it's kind of like the mid to end section, it will throw for a nice tube. 2, I feel like totally bottomed out like the middle part of the wave until the end. Like that was where I got my best barrel, was on wave 2 on my forehand. And then I thought wave 3 is, pretty similar. I almost felt like there was a little more turbulence on it, felt a little bumpier, certainly on takeoff. But yeah, wave 2 and wave 3, when you first take off, it's like you're doing like cutbacks or almost like down carves. And then after that first initial down carve, then you see like the section start to stand up. And that's when you can kind of do stuff on it.
I was going to Waco not necessarily for the barrels. Like I wanted to like crack it off the top. That's what I was trying to do the first couple sessions, very unsuccessfully. I found that there was a lot to do with the type of timing that you had with the wave. And that's why I liked on my backside wave 1 better, because it was a little bit more forgiving and I didn't have to be as perfect with it as I did with wave 2 and 3. I definitely had trouble with like the vertical timing of my snaps and my turns.
Same. Yeah, I found it kind of challenging to surf on my backhand.
Yeah.
In the ocean, you have a bunch of current.
Yeah.
And like when you're bottom turning, it provides friction and like something to almost like push off of. In the pool, it's just like, it's mostly flat. I don't know. I had a harder time doing it, like doing snaps and stuff. The timing I thought was harder.
Part of it too is like in the ocean, the wave isn't always going down the line. Like the wave will push you in toward the beach. And at times when you hit like a shallow section, you'll have to race it, race like a quick section or something. But it's usually not the entire wave. But at Waco, the entire ride is you're going down the line really fast. And if you miss or if you hit a bump or you don't time it correctly, then that wave runs off without you, and there's no way to catch up. So,
yeah. The only other thing I want to add about the public wave is there's like a white, almost like a trim piece, and that's kind of like the end of the wave. And I would always, not always, but often I would get past that without really knowing, and I would go to try and do like a snap or a turn or like a little like chop hop thing. And it would like, the wave would die. It was almost like on cue, like right as I was about to like push off, the wave would just go flat.
I had that too.
I'd be left like, empty handed, like what just happened? Like the rug gets pulled out from under you almost.
Yeah.
On that inside.
But wave 1 on lefts in particular dies really early. You almost miss an entire end section. Wave 2 and 3 goes a little bit longer. So it gives you a little bit more room to run with turns or a barrel or an air.
That pool, it starts off at 9.5 feet deep where you right in the middle where you kind of take off, but then it gets shallow pretty quick, especially if you don't time it correctly and you hit the lip wrong. The lip just pushes you straight down into the pool. And so I think it was like my second session, it slammed the nose of my board in. And totally scraped off all the fiberglass on it. It's like falling on a reef. You want to fall flat, but even if you fall flat, your board doesn't, and it gets pushed down pretty quickly. So that was the only other thing that I ran into.
So the great thing about the new ownership is that last year the water level was lower, so it was even more shallow, and the cement was not smooth. So if you've ever poured concrete where it's like jagged, that's how the bottom was last year. So people were getting like huge gashes, boards were breaking constantly.
Oh wow.
It sounded like a war zone, almost. Like it sounded pretty gnarly.
Who wants to describe what poaching is?
So poaching, as defined in Wikipedia, is both art and science. And
it's how to make a delicious egg and also how to steal a wave from unsuspecting victims in the Waco surf pool.
So the main peak where people take off, you will sit against the wall about 15 to 25 feet inside of the takeoff spot. And basically, if someone falls, you can sprint paddle over to the wave and catch it or poach it. And so you can sit in different spots. So you can sit right there to wait for a person to fall off the takeoff. And so what's nice about that, if they fall, you get basically the whole wave. If you poach there, or you can sit a little bit further in. Sometimes people will like make the takeoff, but then they're like slowly digging a rail, but you can't go because they're standing up, yada, yada. So you can also sit, a little bit further in. And so you'll kind of get that inside money section.
Do we recommend poaching? I would say 2 thumbs way up, especially if you only have a couple sessions out there. If you're going for longevity, like if you have 6 sessions over like 2 days, poaching's probably not your deal because you're going to tire yourself out unless you're in like Mick Fanning shape. But strongly recommend poaching. And then you can even get super diabolical and look at your crew and be like, okay, these guys don't look good, or these guys don't know what they're doing. These guys are. And you try to get in front of the people that you think are going to fall. And I would say it's worth even letting the other crew go ahead If you're able to identify that early in the session.
You get about 10 waves a side, so 20 waves in a session. And then if you have a group that falls maybe every other wave, or there's one person in each group that falls and you're able to poach that wave, your wave count can very easily go from 10 each side to like 15. If you're trying to maximize your wave count, then that's definitely the way to go. All right, so that's our take on the expert wave at Waco Surf. Tell us what you think in the comments below, or find us in the water. See you out there.